Are you a sad individual living under a Parisian opera house and dropping chandeliers on people's heads, which are fun? Well, you may want to stop because that's a crime and get yourself a podcast. How do you do that? Easy. It's with Anchor. Anchor is a totally free app and website, and you can record from your phone or your computer. You don't need fancy smancy equipment. Seriously, I have recorded podcasts from my bathtub while I was bathing. Anchor is free and super easy to use. Anchor has really simple podcasting tools. You sign up and then you start podcasting. It really is that simple. Within an hour of starting my podcast, I was already distributed on Spotify. Now I'm on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and Radio Public. So look for the app or the website. The website is anchor.fm, and the app, just go to your friendly local app store and look up Anchor. That's ANCHOR. Happy podcasting! Hey, it's Sarah from the Kauai Slutty Breakfast Podcast, and today we are discussing Season 2, Episode 16 of the hit drama The OC. The episode is called The Blaze of Glory. Woo! We have an opening at the delightful Harbor High, and I always like the high school scenes because, it kind of emphasizes how they're not high school students. They don't look like high school students. Even Misha Barton, who I think was 17 when she started the show, she didn't look that way. She was. Yeah, because she's in her mid-30s now. Yeah. So it's none of them look like high school students. So they're talking, and Seth is rhapsodizing about the days of yore, and Brian's like, sure. It was great back then. And sorry, I keep on getting notifications. People love me on the internet. Oh, anyway, so they're talking, and Seth's all about this bonfire, and it's so weird when he does that, because it's do you even know Brian? This kid is supposed to be, your bestie, and you keep on wanting to do all this school spirit stuff, and you should know he is just not that into it, you know? It's respect your friend's boundaries, dude. So anyway, he starts getting weird about him and Summer and Ryan and Marissa, and Ryan's like, yeah, she's with somebody, so I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole, which is a respectable position. And then Seth's like, maybe we'll get lucky and we could see them kiss, or something weird like that. And he's just being a creepy weirdo and sexualizing his ex-neighbor without her consent, and it's just why are you being so creepy, Seth? So Marissa gets out of the car, and she's like, oh, hi, do you want to come to this bonfire that I am preparing? And Ryan's like, nah, maybe, sure. And then Seth's like, she's going that way, to the lockers. You must follow her. And Ryan's like, okay, sure, why not? And then Summer comes up, and she's like, you are not shipping Ryan and Marissa again, are you? And he's like, and she's like, you're shipping Ryan and Marissa again, aren't you? Stop. And then Seth goes on, and she's like, you're being really creepy. And he's like, I don't care. Cue intro music. Da 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 da. I can't sing. So we have Kirsten and Sandy at the golfing course, and Kirsten is really bad at golf. So she's like, you know what, I'm done, I hate this. And they start talking about the magazine and how she has to meet with Julie to discuss Julie's cover picture. And they start talking about Carter, and it turns out that Carter ran this magazine that Sandy was way into back when he was in Berkeley. So then Kirsten goes to the office and finds out that Carter has canceled the meeting, and when he was on the phone, he was slurring his words. So Kirsten's like, okay. And then she runs into Julie, who had a very unfortunate meeting with Lance, who is not giving up on the blackmail thing. He wants $500,000 or else he'll blow the secret of the videotape. Meanwhile, this is going on at school. Seth accosts Marissa and is like, hey, you said you need to help with the bonfire. So Ryan's good at construction and, architecture, and he likes burning things down. Sorry, I gotta rant about this. First of all, Ryan worked in construction because he was trying to build a life for Teresa and him and their baby. So it's not like it's something he did for fun. I mean, the architecture thing is valid, but the burning things down, the only reason Caleb's model home burned down is because Marissa bought all those stupid candles for ambiance. I mean, seriously, if it were just him, that never would have happened. Why do they keep on blaming him for things that, weren't his fault? I mean, he didn't tell her, hey, bring over an assload of candles for this fake home. Seriously, so much of the stuff Ryan gets shit for is stuff that, one, he was defending himself, or else, he's reacting to circumstances that he had no control over. I mean, it's just, whatever. But anyway, Marissa's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe he can help me. So then Marissa, Summer, and Brian are eating, and Marissa asks Ryan to help her with the bonfire, and Summer's like, this is very suspicious. And Ryan's like, sure, yeah, I guess I'll help you. And even he agrees about the burning of the house down, which is just really silly and kind of annoying. But, whatever. So she's like, go, we'll come over to my place and we'll talk. And he's like, you mean with Alex? And she's like, yeah, that's where I live now. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, sure. And between this time, Julie has tried to call Marissa to ask her when she's coming back home, and Marissa's like, nope. And Seth came while they were eating lunch, and he's like, oh, I see this is going well. I'm gonna eat somewhere else. And Summer goes off to follow him because that's her thing. Sandy is in his office trying to get back a password from a computer, and customer service has put him on hold, and he is very put out by that. And Julie watches in, and he's like, ugh, my day has just become 30 times worse. So they banter a bit. Julie tries to call him Sanford, and Sandy's like, nah, only Caleb does that because he won't stop. Which sounds like Caleb. I wonder how many times Sandy asked him not to call him Sanford. But anyway, so they talk, and Julie poo-poos the office, and Sandy's like, you can leave anytime. And she looks at him, and then she throws a videotape of pornography on his desk. And Sandy looks at it, and he looks at her, and he's like, ew. And so they talk, and Sandy's like, at first, well, you've got to go to Tops. And Julie's like, no. And I understand this part of it because my experience with committing crimes with the police not been good. So that kind of puts me off the idea of definitely puts me off the idea of committing crimes, but of going to the cops about it. But Julie, I mean, I think if this wasn't so personal that she'd be okay with it, but if she did that then the cops would have to see the tape. So I think that that's what she's thinking, and she doesn't want it to be like a whole big media circus. Can you imagine, like, if this stuff was happening like nowadays? Like, there would be no way to keep that secret, because honestly, there wouldn't be a videotape involved. It would probably be like recorded to a digital file by then. But Julie's like, I was young, I needed the money, it was the 80s. I'm not going into a whole sob story, but it was the 80s. And Sandy's like, yes, that explains everything. I'm assuming that Sandy didn't do pornography in the 80s. And then he makes, like, actually, he's kind of making fun of her, but, like, it's actually a valid point. It's like, you went from dating a porn producer to Caleb Nickel. I mean, and yeah, good on Julie. And the thing that I absolutely love about this is that Julie and Sandy can't stand each other, but Julie also respects Sandy's integrity, and Sandy respects decency. Like, it would never occur to him to try and make money off this. I mean, honestly, like, he doesn't need the money, but he could do it for, like, the pure pleasure of screwing over Julie just because he doesn't like her, but he doesn't. And honestly, that wouldn't occur to him, and Julie knows this, and she respects his integrity, probably because she's known so many people who lacked it, and that is incredible to me. Like, people like to downplay this show like as like a silly teen drama, and honestly, when I first started watching it back in 2003, 4? No, it was 2003. Like, I was like, oh, this is just gonna be silly, but I got so into it because the characters are so well developed, except for the times when they're not, but, you know, nothing's perfect. So Sandy decides to get on the case. And then we have Seth and Summer in the library, and so Summer comes up to Seth. He's sitting there reading Turn of the Screw, and she hits him. Now, I know I've said this before about Summer's violent streak being played for comedy and how that really pisses me off because it's abuse, and I'm gonna say it again. She's abusing him because then she smacks him in the head with a book and then drags him to an aisle of books, and that's not cool. If your partner is doing that to you, that's not okay. That's abuse. Please get help. Seriously, it's like, it makes me so mad when, like, stuff like this is, like, played for, oh, it's just a quirky character trait. No, it's abusive, and it needs to be stopped being normalized, you know? Like, just, so anyway, Summer basically demands that Seth stop shipping their friends because it's weird and creepy, and together, Ryan and Marissa are nothing but trauma and disaster. And she's right. And Seth's like, but they're so cute together. I want to see them kiss. Well, no, he doesn't actually say that, but it's very heavily implied because he totally ships Ryan and Marissa. And so later on, Marissa is outside and Alex is talking to her on the phone, and Alex is like, well, I haven't seen you in a while, thought you'd want to hang out. And Marissa's like, oh, I have a school project at home with Brian. And Alex is like, with Brian? What's going on? Like, her whole vibe changed. It's very sad because this is what leads up to the downfall of Alex. But that's okay, because, you know, it's a show, and it's fictional. And now it's time for a quick break. Okay, so Kirsten goes to Carter's place. He's blasting Debaser by the Pixies, full volume. Surprised nobody has, like, called the, like, cops or something because it's loud. But anyway, he's sulking and he's like, I'm not going to the meeting because it's my wedding anniversary. And it's like, yeah, dude, that sucks, but you have a job and you need to do it. So Kirsten's like, look, it can be more than a fashion. We can be subversive. And he's like, yeah, I'd rather be drunk. And Kirsten's like, whatever, you're pathetic, and leaves. So, later on, Seth is watching The Valley with Captain Oates, and Ryan comes in, and Seth again gets really weird about Marissa, and Ryan hits him, which, not okay. Please stop hitting Seth. I know that he's being a dick, but still, just work your problems out other ways. And Ryan was kind of bummed because, like, all his designs for the bonfire aren't working out, so he asked Seth if he can borrow Captain Oates. And then Seth is later on in his bedroom. Sorry, I almost said Ryan. Seth is in his bedroom and Alex comes over and she's like, look, I want to talk about Marissa because I really like her, but I feel like something's going on. Tell me if there's anything going on. And Seth talks about them sharing a tent, and it's like, she's like, Marissa never told me that, which is just, I mean, I can kind of understand why on both sides. Like, I can understand why Alex would be kind of bummed about Marissa not telling her, but honestly, like, nothing happened. Like, they didn't even sleep, and it's weird because, well, I'll get to that later. So, anyway, Alex leaves in a snit, and Seth is like, oh, great. So, Sandy goes over to Lance's place and is like, hey, Julie will pay you $50,000, and Lance is like, nope, I want $500,000, or I'm going to put it on the internet, which is weird, because honestly, if I were Lance, I would have put that shit on the internet, like, when I first got hold of it, like, in case something happened to me, like, then there's, like, look, if anything happens to me, then, this goes live. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think I would be a good criminal, but I just have no interest. So, anyway, Ryan is over at, Marissa and Alex, and he is talking about he wants to build like a giant wooden horse because he pulls out Captain Oates, and Marissa's like, you don't want to burn him, do you? And it's like, yeah, like Ryan would do that to Seth. Okay. Like, oh yeah, I remember why Ryan hit Seth now. It was because he had Captain Oates, and he's like, now if Ryan touches you any weird places, I swear, Seth is a strange boy. So anyway, so they're working on it, and things are cool, and Ryan's leaving, and Marissa hugs him, and Alex sees him, and she's drinking a beer, and she flips out, and then she throws a beer can at Ryan's head, and Ryan's like, what the hell, man? And Alex is like, you better stay away from Marissa, and Ryan's like, you should walk away. And Alex is like, I'm going, and then does. It's just, I don't understand why they had to turn Alex into, like, a screeching, jealous ex. I mean, and I know that a lot of people don't get Alex confronting Ryan instead of Marissa, but it's like, here's the logic, is that if you make it a thing, then they can react to it. they can react badly, like in the way you don't want to do it. So if you just let things lay, then they're not going to react to it, and you can pretend that things are cool. I mean, it's really not a healthy way to live, but it is understandable from my POV. What I don't get is, violently attacking Ryan. I don't know. People. Oh, and I almost forgot, before Ryan came over, Julie tried to visit Marissa, and Marissa was very spicy about it. She's like, yeah, I'm not letting you in. And Julie's like, well, I just want to make sure you're not making the mistakes. And you know what? If Julie had told Marissa this like a year ago, like said, hey, you know what? I made some really terrible mistakes and I don't want to see you following in my footsteps and ruin your life and leaving yourself without a choice. Like, I want to give you all the choices that I threw away. Then, I don't know, would Marissa take that better? Or would she see that as Julie being a manipulative bitch because Julie Cooper is a manipulative bitch? Huh, who knows? Kirsten and Sandy missed each other last night. So Sandy asked Kirsten, hey, how did your meeting go? And Kirsten's like, it's not, because Carter was drunk and sad. And Sandy's like, that's weird because, like, he inspired me with his magazine. And Kirsten said, hey, do you happen to have a copy? And of course Sandy does. Of course he'd keep copies of the things that were important to him in college. So Seth and Ryan are together in the kitchen, and Seth's are talking with Ryan, and Ryan's like, it's kind of funny how Alex knew about the tent. And Seth's like, ooh. And then Ryan calls him out on arranging things so that he could be with Marissa, and he's like, you know what, things have changed, like, I don't want to go back to the way things were. And Seth's like, okay. And then Ryan's like, just please leave it alone. So Marissa and Alex have a fight. She mentions the tent, and she's just angry. Like, and I mean, I do get that she feels lied to, and I also kind of get Marissa's feeling that it's like, it's not really a lie, because, like, would Alex actually ask about a tent? No. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a thing that I would mention in a funny story, like, yeah, we ended up hanging out in tents, cool. And if she said it like that, then Alex might not have had a problem, but I don't know, because the way she's written is just not chill at all. So anyway, Julie goes to Sandy's office, and she's like, please tell me something good. And Sandy's like, well, sorry, I can't. And Julie's frustrated, and she's worried about Marissa, and she's like, Marissa won't talk to me, I don't know what to do. And Sandy's like, yeah, we had the same problem last summer with Seth, and sometimes it's who's giving the message, not necessarily the message, which is something that I've been saying, that Julie does things, the right thing, for the wrong reason, and because it's Julie, it comes off as, like, really nefarious and villainous. But anyway, so she goes to the pool house where Ryan is playing with a basketball. No, I will not make the obvious joke. You can do that yourself. But anyway, so she's like, look, I don't want to get in between anything, but I just want my daughter safe. And she won't do it for me. She'll do it for you. And Ryan's like, no, I don't want to get in this relationship. And she talks to him, and, like, I think that he finally gets that she's, like, genuinely concerned, that she's not manipulating just for that. Like, she wants to make sure her kid is okay. So, Kirsten goes to Carter's place, and he's blasting music again. This time I didn't recognize it. And she takes the Revolution magazine and pops it in the mailbox and walks away. Then Ryan goes to Marissa and Alex's place, and he's looking for Marissa, and Alex is there drinking yet another beer, and she's like, I told you to stay away from Marissa. And she's like, whatever. And she's like, oh, if you go to that bonfire, it's on. And he's like, okay, cool. But you're a pathetic tryhard. The end. Like, seriously, that was the end of the confrontation because he walked away. Good on Ryan. So, on the final round, Carter actually comes into the office and sees Kirsten. He's like, that was mean of you, taunting me with my past. And she's like, nah. And then he asks her how she got the magazine, and she tells him it was her husband. And he's like, I must meet him. And so they start getting to work on the magazine. Summer goes to the Cohen place and grabs Seth and twists his arm behind his back. This is not cute or funny. Stop doing this. Like, I swear, I don't know how I missed this stuff watching the show before, but it's like so glaringly obvious that like Summer needs serious help for her anger issues. Because wow. So they go around looking for Ryan, and they come up with the idea that maybe he's at the bonfire, and they're like, oh no. So presumably off they scamper. Sandy goes to Lance's place with a contract. He's willing to buy the rights and all the film of the movie, and he's offering to pay $500,000. He puts 100 as a down payment, and Lance signs, which doesn't really mean much, but moving on. So we get to the, and with that thing, Sandy calls Julie and tell her, hey, I got him to sign it, but we gotta pay up the money. And he's like, so you're gonna have to talk to Caleb. And Julie's like, I'd rather die. So that's where they're at. And the funny thing is that like if she were married to Jimmy, this wouldn't be a problem, because like Jimmy would understand. And like, I'm not saying that Jimmy's a great person. I mean, he did steal from his friends, but I mean, he's better than Caleb. Then again, a dead decaying ferret is probably better than Caleb Nickel. But anyway, so we get to the bonfire earlier. Everything's a disaster because she's trying to go by Ryan's plans, and she's not into architecture, so she understands nothing. And the Trojan horse's head ends up nearly on his ass until Ryan comes by and saves the day and is like, hey, you do this, put this here, get that gasoline away from the fire, please, thank you. And like, he's in charge, and like everything's working out, and Marissa's really happy. And then later there's like a cheer dance routine type thing, and everybody's happy. And then comes Alex with two dudes, and they start trying to pick a fight with Ryan, and Marissa's like, hey, your problem is with me, so talk to me. So they go off and talk, and they vent, and it comes to the thing where Alex is like, I feel like this is your life, and I don't feel a part of it. But honestly, has she really tried to? Like, I mean, has she, like, tried to, like, go to a party, like, with Marissa's friends? Or, like, does she think that, see, it's weird, because, like, at the beginning of the show, Marissa was, like, supposed to have all these friends, but she doesn't really hang out with a lot of people, but somehow managed to be very popular and schedule school events. It's a weird continuity thing, I think. Anyway, So basically, they decide to break up, and Alex is like, well, maybe I'll go back home and go back to school. It looks kind of fun. And Marissa's like, nah, maybe. But anyway, they go off together, and it's very happy. At the bonfire, Ryan is awkwardly hanging out with two dudes Alex brought, and Alex and Marissa come up. And Alex apologizes to Ryan and says, hey, it wasn't about you. And Ryan's like, it's okay. So Alex takes her friends and leaves. And then Seth and Summer are there expecting all kinds of horrible disaster. But everything seems pretty chill. So they're about to light the bonfire. So close. The two things are so similar. But anyway, so they're about to light the vampire. Why? Why am I like this? Bonfire. You know what? I'm going to leave that in because that's really funny to me. Anyway, they're going to light the bonfire. And Marissa's like, you know what? You built it, so you should do this. And she hands the torch to Ryan. And Ryan's like, no, we built it together. We should burn it together. And they're probably thinking of Caleb's fake house. But that's okay, because it's not a vampire fake house. But anyway, so they light it, and it's on fire. And they're releasing who knows how many carcinogens into the air. But alas, everything's happy. And then Ryan turns to Marissa and says, are you ready to go home? And she nods. And the episode ends as flames spurt into the sky from the wooden corpse of a fake horse based on Captain Oates, who is not a vampire. Okay, it's late. I need to get some sleep. Have a hoopy day and keep it fruity. Bye.